excited about being in the Bioblitz?
Yeah!
We got a very, very exciting day today. We're going to learn about water quality. We're going to learn about water bugs. We're going to learn about hanging swamps. We're going to learn about giant dragonflies, because we've got some unique critters that live in this catchment that don't exist in very many places, communities. So this is a very, very important catchment, and we're delighted that you're going to come today to help us solve a heinous aquatic crime.
So here's the story. On the 7th of July 2012, over 1,000 dead and dying crayfish were found in Jamison Creek, which is just over there. So it was a catastrophe. There was something had happened instantly to kill lots and lots of stuff in the water. Your job today is to find out why.
Over here is the Blue Mountains Swamp Community. Now this is a very rare community. We've only got approximately 3,000 hectares of this in the entire Blue Mountains. It looks like a green sort of grassy valley, but it's essentially just a huge sponge full of water. The beauty of that is that the water comes into the system, and then instead of running off immediately down and into the creek systems, it holds it here up in the headwaters of the valleys and then releases it slowly over time. Okay. What we're going to do now is just do a little bit of a soil testing on some of these samples, and we'll just sort of see just how acidic this type of soil is compared to some normal soil that I've brought along as well. This is the swamp one. Look at the difference in the colour.
Holy moly!
So there we're down to 4.5.
And some of them were higher, some of them were lower, depending on where we got them from. Yeah, that was really interesting.
I didn't realise this swamp here was really, really old, 10 million or 10,000 years old. And yeah, it's really interesting to see all the old generations and everything it's been through. Like, I wouldn't think it had that much history, but it does.
We're going to spread out around the water bug trays now. And now they're looking at water bugs as biological indicators of how healthy the lake is. And they're also finding all sorts of good stuff. They're finding freshwater shrimp, caddisflies, mayflies, dragonflies, damselflies, all sorts of diversity in there.
But I have caught like 3 giant shrimp.
And then there's, I call like the godfather of shrimp.
They're not a crayfish! He's got one. Look at the little baby shrimp. Where's the baby? Oh, no, that's a... Oh, well.
So this is just a nice, simple but effective test of how cloudy or clear the water is. So if it's really, really dirty and cloudy, we'll only be able to put a little bit into the tube and still see the 3 wavy lines on the bottom.
About 10. Good? Is it good? Yes, it's good.
Oh no, it just, where's that going? Oh, it's going into our lake. Do I want to go swimming in there? No.
In the year 2000, there was a declaration made by UNESCO of the Greater Blue Mountains World Heritage Area. Some of the UNESCO delegates were worried about the impacts that our city, being the only city in the Southern Hemisphere within a World Heritage Area, on the water quality on the downstream World Heritage Area. So the impacts of urban runoff were identified by UNESCO as a potential threat to the World Heritage listing. So when the water flows out of the lake and it flows down Jamison Creek and over the waterfall, where does it end up? Where's that big lake on the other side of Mount Solitaire that all of the water in the upper mountains, it ends up in Warragamba Dam. Now, if you're down in Sydney, in fact, if you're in the lower mountains, all the way up to Falconbridge, you're drinking water from Warragamba Dam. Would you want to be drinking polluted water, or would you want to be drinking nice clean water? Nice clean water. So it's up to us, because we live at the headwaters of the catchment, to look after the water quality.
Wentworth Falls Lake provides all of the water for Sydney and all around that area. It provides home to thousands of different animals. It is a place of great environmental importance.
These are all natives in here, so crush it between your fingers and smell it. Can you smell it? Yeah? That little plant is a Boronia. So you've looked at the biodiversity in that little piece of bush. Guys, how many did you get?
We came up with 6.
6. And which was the most common one in your little plot? Discs of heaven.
Yeah.
Isn't that gorgeous? That's what Boronia has become. But if I can compare that with the biodiversity over there where all the weeds are, what happens to biodiversity when we get weeds?
Less?
There's heaps less.
We've been learning about like plants and animals and what's weeds and what's not weeds and good and bad plants.
We went over and there's a little setup back there and it's like a hole, you know, you could flush a little toilet, it shows where the sewage goes and things like that. And yeah, that's cool.
At all of the stations, you looked at this notion of interrelatedness or interconnectedness. You looked at the interconnectedness of what we do at the top of the catchment and what that means for the catchment downstream. Everything we do up here impacts down there. Just let's say we got a cat in this ecosystem. You'll probably attack that poor old swamp wallaby. You'll certainly attack that poor old nymph there. And the toadlet. Yum.
Not just this lake, but a lot of other lakes as well because they all connect. And so if anything happens here or anywhere else, like the dead crayfish incident, it can affect everywhere else.
I have no idea, but it could be the pollution, the stormwater, introduced species probably killed them off.
When you build a house, all those chemicals and materials can get into the water and kill animals. That's what I think it is, but I don't know yet.
All the people near Jamison Creek didn't have any idea of these issues and everything, and maybe one day it just got too much and the crayfish couldn't handle it anymore.
I think there was some pesticide being used at a big apartment complex,
and it rained obviously, and then the chemicals came into the Jamison Creek and killed many crayfish and also other water bugs and damaged the system.
Question to you then, given what you've learnt today, how did that pesticide get from that block into the creek?
It will go down with the stormwater into the lakes and then, well, it will kill the animals.
So let's have a look at what's happened to our web. So drop the bit that's you affected. So anybody who's immediately affected, drop.
I've got a lot of really good and fascinating ideas about how me, just as a person and as a community, can work together to create a better environment for everyone, to save water and electricity, and that's a bonus for everyone that does this. And 3, just improve the quality of the general environment.
Well, I've learned that it's important to make sure that you don't have storm water runoff from your home, which goes straight into the environment, and just something like having a garden or just making sure you don't pollute and do all of those things. It can really greatly help if everyone does it.
I enjoyed today a lot because I find the environment fascinating and I love animals and creatures and things like that, so I had a wonderful day.